We're going to step aside for today from the parasha, and we're going to talk about Hanukah. All right, and we're gonna base it on what we talked about, which is that the ikad, that the way we build a connectedness onto ourselves is not through the why, but through the right. It's always through the how. How do we do this mitzvah? Kadosh Baruch Hu outlines what, and we build in all the hows. And the pratim, the details of the halachot, of the mitzvot, of the Jewish laws, the details of the details is where that intellectual paradise is. That's where we need to be, and that's where we want to be. Hang on. Hi, Chacham, good morning. Okay. Okay. So with that in mind, we want to split some hairs. Yeah. And I hope and believe that the more hair splitting we become, the more we create an appetite to do that, go deeper and deeper. So we're going to use today, the Hazon Avajah. Now, the Hazon Avajah, many of you are familiar with it. We did a little of it Friday night. And if you notice, up here is where the Chacham will write the Psak Halacha, where the Rabbi, Chacham Avajah Yosef, right, he's the greatest mind in 500 years, right, the greatest Sephardic mind in 500 years, probably the greatest mind in 500 years in Judaism. He'll write up here, he'll write the bottom line. But where you play is down here. This is where you.
What's the source of the bottom line? The source of the bottom line?
He's going to bring you, on average, he'll bring you 50 sources on average. I think it's actually 56, but I'm not exactly sure. But he'll around 50 plus.
Wow.
Every time he writes something. Every time he writes something. And then what he'll do is, so he'll move you and he'll work you, and it's you stand up and cheer as you're learning. That's what it's about. So he'll teach you the klalim, the rules, the principles of learning, right? The principles of learning. We're going to touch on a few of them today. And he'll teach you the mahalach, the process. Okay? And this is where you begin to really recognize HaKadosh Baruch Hu here. When you're in the deep and fascinating intellectual hows of the what. The what is lighting Hanukah candles. That's what we do. And these are all the hows, okay? All this, look, it's just, now there's certain times he'll write one sentence and he'll go on like over here. He'll go on for pages, look at this, pages, gentlemen, about one thing. Look, how many is it? So far it's 6 or 8 pages.
Wow.
So this is our intellectual, spiritual playground, the great gift that who gave us. It's to take our minds and to build them to a point where we come as one as possible with his mind. And how do we do it? We do it with the building of the mind. Now, I read this some time back in terms of the current capacity of the brain, right? I think the brain, you guys know better, the brain uses 2%, 3%, 10% of its capacity.
At a time, yeah.
10%.
That is changeable. That's the beauty. The size of the brain is.
And the size of the brain can expand, right? Good. So all that is where we want to be. We want to be expanding our minds, not to the cliche, but in practical terms. We want to create, and I'm sorry if I'm using the wrong terms, you guys know better. We want to create more brain cells, right? Yeah. We want to create an expanded muscle up here. And that's doable until a person's last breath. Okay? So we're going to be doing some of that today.
So then what's chokhmah if a person could like expand his brain?
Beauty. So chokhmah, we said, was learning a lot of different things, a lot about a lot, right? A lot about a lot. And then being at a level in the confidence in your knowledge to be able to float back and forth and draw from this and that and that. That's a chacham. So the chacham is not a He's not an expert. The Chacham is not an expert, right? An expert is an expert. Like an expert would be an a plumber, a brain surgeon. That's a very beautiful thing, but that's not a Chacham.
But a Chacham could get in there and mix it up with a plumber if he wants to.
That's right. The Chacham will take his plumbing knowledge and his knowledge of politics and his knowledge of Musar and Gemara and Chumash and Halacha and just Tacha. He'll just flow between them.
Is this out in the world? Is this if I say Chacham to everybody, and is that a universally understood term, or is that just for us in our group?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't answer that. I believe it's universally understood, but I don't know.
That concept.
No, there are a lot of terms now. There are a lot of terms now that have been cliched and used in the street.
Sure.
Not in a very serious way. I can't speak to those, but in a serious circle, you know that the Chacham is the person with a ton of information.
Gotcha.
He's a generalist, but he's not a generalist where he doesn't take deep dives, right?
Right.
He takes relatively deep dives in a lot of areas. And what this teaches is that it's possible, right? And whenever we think we've gotten as deep as we can, then we get warmed up again and we go further.
So that seems to be very much our way as Faradim,
right?
Where the Chachamim had trades and work, and they knew what was the pulse on the world.
Exactly. It speaks very much to Harambam's perspective. Very much to Harambam's perspective, right? Harambam was a doctor, a scientist, maybe an astrologist, a philosopher, certainly, right? He was all of the above. He was a linguist.
But he actually got paid for all of those things. I mean, he wasn't just claiming it. He did it as a trade.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Right. I'm saying, no, I didn't mean it in a bad way. I mean, when you get paid for something, then you really are that thing. I mean, if I'm getting paid to plumb, then I'm a plumber. If I get paid to operate on somebody, I'm a doctor. That's what I'm doing. And not just, I'm not.
So we want you to be a
the
doctor
Rambam was a practicing physician.
Doctor and a plumber and a Torah person and a this and a that and a that in all areas of Torah.
That's great.
I want to tell you something else. And this is the thing of mine. Harambam he's a master of the use of language.
Yeah.
The master. You have to look at that. He will purposely mix up his language on purpose. It's spectacular. In one case, he'll repeat. In one case, he'll put this before that. Then he'll put that. It's not sloppy.
Right.
He's a master linguist, a giant of language. You see that in the Mishneh Torah. You see that in the Guide for the Perplexed. Why does he a topic? He starts in chapter 1, section 1, picks it up in chapter 13, section 3.
He understands how he's perceived. He understands the perception of him. Right? He understands how the reader is perceiving him, right? So
I don't know. He wants the reader to have a certain intellectual experience. Right. And he knows that intellectual experience is going to be much harder than if you put it Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet. But that's brilliant, where you see the end. A teacher needs to see the end. Where do I want these people to be in a year, 2 years, 3 years? That's where I want them to be in 3 years. Okay, let me write the first class. You don't just bump along and write a class here and write a class there. That's not educating. That's not building. That's not giving the person the tools to expand the mind. When you do that, you sit down in your first class and you say, where do we want to be 36 months from now? Where do we want to be, whatever? Yeah? You're getting all this?
I'm with you.
Right. All right. Beautiful. Okay. So, Hanukah.
The Guide to the Perplexed, I can get it in English. My mom needs it.
Yeah, you can get it in English. Yeah,
There's two versions. There's a harder English, and then there's a.
Okay.
I could send you a PDF of it if you want in the chat right now.
Okay. So, Pirsumei Nisa, right?
Yeah.
We said the halachic principle that drives and, excuse the term, distorts everything in Hanukah is Pirsumei Nisa, right? Is publicizing the miracle, right? Because of Pirsumei Nisa, the farsem, the publicize the nes, Nisa, the miracle, because of the major headline in Hanukah of Pirsumei Nisa, we break rule after rule after rule. And this is where the halachic party comes in Hanukah, right? You want to do the halachic game, the run, the incredible workout in Jewish law as it relates to Hanukah. Start with the headline, Persumei Nisa, publicizing the miracle. And now say, okay, based on that, we blow up umpteen things that are otherwise hard and fast rules. Good? Okay. What does Persumei Nisa mean?
Glorifying the miracle.
Glorifying the miracle. So take me one step down, one step further inside. What does it mean?
Publicly glorifying the miracle.
Publicly glorifying the miracle. Good. So we have the perspective like this. Mesirut nefesh, when a person makes an exceptional effort or an exceptional sacrifice, right? It yields exceptional things. So this is very important. There's an absolute rule in HaKadosh Baruch Hu's world. When a person sacrifices exceptionally, it will be greeted with exceptional results. There's no such thing as a person acting exceptionally, giving of himself exceptionally, reaching exceptionally, and something exceptional not happen. Now, it doesn't always happen that minute, but it always happens. So
we're not going to get a psych, like that's not going to happen. We're going to put our hand out and we're going to put our hand out and we're not going to get like a psych, like that kind of a thing.
You may not, but you may, but you
Right.
need to know, Mesirut Nefesh, an exceptional effort to build something, to impact a person's life, will invariably trigger the forces in the universe to come back at you exceptionally. Okay? Good?
Good.
Beauty. So Mesirut Nefesh yields miracles. Miracle means, as we learned, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu inserts himself into the process that he established to move the process, to add to the process, to spark the process. So Mesirut Nefesh yields miracle, yields something exceptional. Exceptional effort yields an exceptional result.
Great.
That's one of the laws of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's world, right? Now, when you have Mesirut Nefesh, an exceptional effort, plus a miracle, a public miracle, now you have the obligation to Farser et hanes, to publicize it, Persumei Nisa. Again, when we have an exceptional effort, we invariably will get an exceptional response. Exceptional means better than what the laws of nature, what life in its general course would have brought. Yeah? But if we have Persumei Nisa plus an overt miracle, God overtly does something as a result of our actions. It all starts with us. Then you have the public obligation to proclaim it. And we call that Persumei Nisa, the proclamation of the miracle.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys okay over there?
For sure. Are there any other examples of where these three things happened?
Yeah. Well, tell me about Purim. What do you want to call Purim?
Sure.
Okay, so Purim is an overt example of that. When Nachshon jumps into the water, right? That's an overt example of it.
So the opportunity presents itself to attain a multiplier. Is that what we're saying?
Opportunity presents itself to obtain a multiplier, but you will, when you make the sacrifice, you will obtain the multiplier. That obtaining of the multiplier will oftentimes be private. But when you make the sacrifice and the multiplier is public, now we have an obligation to let everybody know about it. So when you have something like Purim, right? The Purim, reading the Megillah, is the partner to lighting the candles from this perspective, right? I'm reading the Megillah, meaning I'm publicly proclaiming that the sacrifice of X number of people brought with it a miracle, which demands a public proclamation. Yeah.
I thought the Persumei Nisa is supposed to be to outsiders, non-Jews.
Not necessarily. No, it's mostly
Just
to
to
Jews.
us.
Mostly, very good. It's a very good point.
We
Mostly to
all know
us.
about it. That I guess we can assume that we don't all know about it.
We don't know about it enough, We need to know about it more and more and more. And to your point, it's an excellent point. It's mostly about
I
it.
haven't,
It should be, but it should be more inclusive of Goyim, because they're the ones that really don't know. I mean,
Right, that's not excluding anybody. We're just saying, good. And so let's build.
That's
on
your
that.
biggest impact. I mean, the biggest impact is gonna be on those who don't know, not those who do.
Good. And okay, good. We'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah.
So,
there's someone I know in sports who's a little bit of a racist and anti-Semite, but I go back and forth with him. But he said to me the other day, "Happy Hanukah."
Uh-huh.
And I said, "Oh, there's
We made the progress.
there's maybe that public
Yeah,
that
we
you're
made
talking
progress.
about.
Yeah.
Rabbi Noah's raising his hand there.
Oh, sorry, honey. Hi, Noah.
so
Hi, Zach.
would you mind repeating the equation?
Good.
Zach, sorry.
Mesirut Nefesh, which means, is this for our deck?
Yeah.
Could be on our deck. All right. Mesirut Nefesh, right? An effort beyond the pale, beyond the norm, an effort of sacrifice, where you're afraid, where you're taking a major risk, where most of the people don't understand what you're doing, right? That's Mesirut Nefesh. Yeah. You may give up your life, right? You're not supposed to. You shouldn't do something knowing that would happen, but there could be a risk of something like that happen. But when a person is moser nefesh for a cause, for an issue, for another human being, that person will invariably trigger something beyond the laws of nature in response. So, mesirut nefesh, sacrifice, heroic effort, you could call it. A heroic effort will bring a beyond the norm response from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, a miracle. Miracle means it's outside of the laws of nature. When you have the exceptional effort met by a public miracle, now you have the obligation to let everybody know about it. Yeah.
Is that why they won the war? Because of the woman who eats that?
So it's a very interesting question. What was the tipping point?
Because
The question is, what was the tipping point? Beauty. What was the tipping point? And you know what? And it's very important in terms of Hanukah. Who made the beginning exceptional effort? Who started it? Who started it? Fighting
this lady, I think.
Yehudit finished it. Who started it?
Matityahu.
No, the poor people. Matityahu, he came later. It was the poor people and the women who stood up and said, this has to stop. We're losing Judaism. The assimilation rate is 80%, whatever it was. They made the Mesirut Nefesh. They triggered it. Now we have Mesirut Nefesh 2, which is Matidyahu and sons, right? But where did it come from? It came from the people who have no power. That's where it came from. And they were the ones who said, we're going to lose our people here. And they were right. They brought the leaders and the powerful families, who they themselves made great sacrifice, Mesirut Nefesh, by putting their lives on the line. And they all gave their lives.
So they all did.
They all gave their lives, right?
They all did Mesirut Nefesh.
They all did Mesirut Nefesh. So you have Mesirut Nefesh 1.0, 2.0, miracles, Pirsamei Nisah, proclamation of the miracle. Beauty. Good?
Good.
Beauty. Now, because we have this formula, we have a few very interesting things. For example, when are you supposed to light the candles? When do we light them?
The people on the street.
When the people on the street, but what time? What's the set
Sundown.
up, right? When the
Yeah.
stars
So
come
people,
out.
it's measured as until people are no longer walking in the shuk.
What, honey? What?
Until people are no longer walking in the shuk.
Excellent. And when do we start? We start with Seder Koch, right? We start when the stars come out. So what is it now? About 5 o'clock?
Yeah.
About 5 o'clock. Yeah, something like 4:45, 5 o'clock. Good. Now, we have this very curious theme, which is that we light the Hanukah in shul when it's still broad daylight. Right?
Mhm.
Right, gentlemen? Today in Mincha, it'll still be absolute daylight. Right? We light the Hanukah. Now, do we light it with a beracha? Yep.
Yeah, they don't want people to kish.
We light it with the beracha
Oh, right.
during the day. It's the mitzvah it doesn't hit yet. So what are we doing? What are we doing, guys?
We're overriding the halacha, which is set kochavim,
Really?
right?
Breaking the halacha for Persumeni
No, we're
Sah.
going back. We're going back to the core of the mitzvah because everyone's gonna kish by the time it's time to light if we don't do it earlier. So we're not gonna
That's
publicize
right.
it all to the shul if it's not lit before.
Excellent. So we're breaking a rule. What do you mean? The rule is you light when it gets dark, but it doesn't have dark. It has to be more than dark. The stars have to be out. It has to be absolutely dark, right? 1 second. Has to be absolutely dark. Now you're going to tell me light during the day. Okay. So light during the day, no problem. Light during the day, but don't say beracha.
Right.
What do you say, Chachamim? Why don't we say we'll light during the day without a beracha? We're not technically fulfilling the mitzvah.
Because you are fulfilling the mitzvah. That is
Huh?
the mitzvah.
Because some
That
people
is
are
the
gonna go
mitzvah.
home and not light it at all.
The mitzvah is on the houses, so we're not fulfilling the mitzvah.
Why? But
Because
that-
some people won't light the menorah. when
Okay,
they
but
get
it's
home.
not my house. Yeah,
You are fulfilling the mitzvah.
go ahead. Yeah,
You are. That's the mitzvah.
the mitzvah is what?
With everybody doing it publicly.
Right, the mitzvah, because the mitzvah is Persumeni Sah, is publicizing the miracle. It doesn't matter that I'm not in my house. I need to publicize it and publicize it and publicize it. So I'm going to say it in the shul, broad daylight. Now, why do I say it in the shul, broad daylight with a beracha? Why?
That's the most public place. Like instead of your house, it's actually works to your benefit if it's in public setting.
That's right.
You can-
But why do I say with a beracha? Beautiful.
Because you're fulfilling what you
Because that's exactly
the
the
whole point
point.
is to do it in
1
public.
second. You're breaking the rules. You understand?
Then you go home and then.
And then you go home and the
And then
same
you say-
guy says it again
And with the
in his
beracha.
house with a beracha. The same person who learned, no, we usually give it to a kid, to a young adult to do it, right? But the deen is that because of Persumeni Sah, we light in the shul, broad daylight, yeah? And with a beracha, because if you lit without the blessing, it wouldn't be the same level of proclamation of the miracle. So we light it in the shul with a beracha. Good?
So that's your maximized opportunity. You're maximizing it right there.
There's the opportunity. Excellent, beautiful.
What if the guys didn't work? Does,
The wife is doing it, right?
no. Does he also light?
No, we don't tell that way. No. Okay, good. Now, what if okay, so we light it in the shul with a beracha and the guy goes home and does it again. We have another curious halacha, but it's halacha l'maaseh. Let's say you're in shul and you don't have minyan yet. You don't have 10 men. But you know you're gonna get 10 men. We're gonna light now. Time, we're gonna do it now. We're gonna light. We're not gonna wait. Are you allowed to light in the shul without 10 men? 10 men is a kahal, right? It's a minyan. That's considered a public thing.
It's not public.
Is
You're
it,
gonna see it.
you're gonna see it, right? What do you say?
With the beracha, yeah, like, you get the same child, you're gonna let them do it something.
No, it could be a man.
When
You
you light
could-
it in your house, the people outside aren't watching you light the candles.
Excellent. So can you do it in the shul? You know the people are gonna come, but they haven't come yet.
When are they?
Beautiful. So we have another extraordinary law here. You Biani?
No, I was just gonna say it all depends when they're like. How do you know?
They're coming. They're coming in the next 10, 15 minutes.
Okay.
So there's-
Huh?
they're
What?
Parking the car.
They're parking their car.
So
One
that's
second.
like being like not shown.
Yeah, being like not shown a little bit, right? That's
You're
right.
being, you know Hashem's gonna be there, he's gonna
Yeah.
figure it out for you, but you gotta initiate.
I got to initiate. So what do? I don't have a minyan. It's not the right time. The deen is you say it in the shul because the people are coming. They're gonna see the candles lit. And because you have Persumeni Sah, the proclamation of the miracle in the making, you say it without a minyan, without 10 men, with a beracha. Cool? Good?
But
Yeah? I'm Teddy, you good?
Well, what's forcing you to do it earlier? Why can't you just wait?
Well, I don't know. You want to do it before Arbit. You want to do it before you start praying Arbit, right? That's what we typically do in the shul. So yes, you could wait, but let's say for whatever reason, I don't know, you don't want to wait. You don't want to wait. I don't know, but yes, you could wait. But the point is, if we don't want to wait, we don't have a problem.
Wow.
Wild. It gets living more wild. What if we have 4 men and 6 kids who are ktanim, who aren't of the age where we would count them for a minyan? Do we count them for a minyan in this case in terms of Pisumei Nisan?
Sure.
The answer is yes. The answer is yes. What, honey?
Do we have a real?
No, not on this one. This one straight up.
For publicizing.
I'm publicizing to these. What do you mean? They're kids. They're not old enough. Not in this case. If I have 4 adults and 6 kids, let's say, no problem.
Do
Go
they have to
ahead.
understand what's happening?
Okay, they can't be 3 years old, but if they're 7, 8, yeah. If there's some,
They don't need 10 anyway, so why does it even
no,
matter?
because I'm saying a bit of, I'm making I'm saying, if I'm already breaking the rules to do it not in its time, you would say I have to have minyan at least. Right? Shouldn't I have minyan? If it's going to be the Fasemet Hanes, shouldn't it be in a minyan? The answer is yes, it should, but it's a different type of minyan. It's a
Doesn't
minyan.
have to be minyan.
It doesn't have to be, right,
Right.
good. Now, let's say if I have 4 or 5 men and the rest kids, I can consider that the level of a minyan, of a kahal, of a group, for halachically, and I can make the lighting with the beracha. What if it's 4 men and 6 ladies?
No,
Wow.
Zeke,
Zeke,
you take the one.
I'm gonna say yes.
Everybody goes, wow, when you say it.
I love it. No, I say yay, yay.
Yeah.
Come on.
That'd be the same answer.
Otherwise, we don't record it. Get rid of
Otherwise,
it.
you can't go
Yeah.
home.
Otherwise, you can't go home.
That's
What do you say, gentlemen?
I say yes.
You say yes. The answer is yes.
I think so. too.
Beautiful. So now this is the case where we count the ladies in our minyan,
They should always count.
right? Because the miracle was very much about them, but even more than that, if the point is to
course.
proclaim the miracle, then we're proclaiming.
Rabbi.
Yeah.
If you have 5 children and 5 ladies.
If you have 5 children and 5 ways, you know something? And that's I don't know. I don't know. That
Why
is
women?
great question.
Come on, why women can light without men? Women can light without men.
Women can make the beracha.
Be careful.
Women can definitely make the
There's no
beracha.
reason why.
A woman generally wouldn't make the beracha in the synagogue because of modesty. But if it's 5 ladies and 5 kids,
At a house, sure.
truth
We
is-
said it.
No, we're saying in the synagogue, a house.
We learned it last year.
The
We
truth
learned
is,
it.
it shouldn't be a problem. Shouldn't be a problem, but I want to double check it.
We learned it last year. The only problem was,
There's no problem with Siyud, so the lady can certainly make the beracha.
right, but there's this new thing.
It's a great one. It definitely sounds like you could, but I just want to,
Women say the
it's
beracha.
one of those great ones. So you got to
What'd you
check it a
say?
little.
Women make the beracha over kids, right?
Yeah.
In a house?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, anywhere.
And, well, not, yes, that's what
No, not
Okay.
everywhere. So there's- in the-
No, generally speaking,
If there's men present, you're gonna have the kids say it in the shul.
you're gonna have a teenager say it, right? Yeah, you'd have a man say it, or you'd have first have a man, but you wouldn't have a kid, you wouldn't have a 10-year-old say it.
I hope this is one of the things that flips.
But the point is, you would have it's a different, because it's a different rule, not because the women can't say it, because because-
Say it in front of them.
because we don't do it in front. Yeah, go ahead.
I said, I hope this is one of the rulings that flips during in Mashiach. We realize that the women were the better of both of us, of all of us.
Everybody knows it already.
Yeah, I mean, but it really has to come out already and be done with.
You know what? We do a lot of things just from a modesty perspective, not from a core halacha.
Because we're weak. That's our problem.
That's right.
Right.
If the men straighten
Shouldn't be
themselves,
theirs.
women could do what they need to do.
Yeah, yeah,
Men who are the problem. It's the
Yep.
men who are weak. If
that's
the
right.
men get their acts together and learn how to control their thoughts.
That's right.
The ladies could do what they
Should be doing.
could do.
But don't the
Alright.
women have the item that they want men to look at them?
Oh, I don't know.
No, is it that one? I thought I heard it one time
Yeah,
that,
it could
That's the
be.
perfume.
Oh, so it could be. So the women are equally culpable? for
yeah,
the
I mean, they're
problem?
not, they don't want what's in the man's mind, but. to
They
an
have their
extent,
own issue. Maybe.
They want to
maybe.
feel important or
But
something.
trees can't
Could be.
give birth, you know.
Could be. Okay, we have another rule. Tadir v'she'eno tadir, tadir kodem. What does that mean, guys? Tadir v'she'eno tadir, tadir kodem.
Whatever, we do more. often, we
Comes
do
first. Whatever is more tadirut, whatever there's done more often, if you have something that's done more often than not, so the more often thing comes first and then the secondary thing, right? Okay. So what do we do in the case in what do you mean? Yeah, right, good,
We like Hanukah.
Right, in shul,
good.
they're gonna light the menorah before Havdalah.
Beautiful. So what do we do in shul on Saturday night, right? What is the more often done thing? It's clear, is the Havdalah, right? Shabbat's over. The thing that we do first is we would say Havdalah, then we'd go out and say Birkat Levanah, for example, the blessing on the moon, right? But in this case, what do? We do the Hanukah first, the one that's done only a handful of days a year. We do it first, and then we do the Havdalah. Why?
To lock the people in.
Persumeni
To
sa.
lock the people in.
Exactly. So Persumeni sa trumps Tadir v'she'eno Tadir.
Captive audience.
We use a
You have a
narrative
rule that you will use in every other case other than this case. Yeah.
We use a Ner Shabbat. What is it? Like the candle that's lit before and
Well, it's already, Shabbat is over, right? We said the Atachon Antanu in Arbit, so Shabbat for us is over. So we can light a candle, very good. We can light a candle, we just can't eat yet, but we can light a candle, so we light the candle, we say, and we say the Nerot Hanukah. Now, what's the halakha at home?
The opposite.
Right? The halakha at home is what? It's the opposite. Why is it the opposite?
Because there's no one to persuade and to.
Because nobody's running away,
Exactly.
because you're not gonna lose people when you do the Havdalah first, right? So, you know,
Oh, so the holding the people down, that is the prisoner's sin.
that's,
Same thing.
that's right. Keeping them in the place, I have more people in the place, so I'm gonna do it first. Okay. Okay, so far, we're good so far? Okay, what if, okay, we have a term that Rambam uses for this mitzvah and no other mitzvah that Maimonides uses for this mitzvah. It says that the mitzvah of candles, candle lighting, the Rosh Hanukah, is mitzvah chavivahi ad me'od. What does that mean? Chaviva, loved. It's the most loved mitzvah. Lighting the Hanukah candles is the most loved mitzvah. Why is that?
Because we get presents.
Because you want presents, right?
Spread the light.
Lighting the Hanukah candles is the most loved mitzvah.
Feels
Why?
good.
Huh?
Feels good.
It feels good. It's an expression of our love for God. It's an expression of our love for others, right? We're proclaiming the miracle, right? And it's an expression of our core understanding of God, which is order, knowledge, that connection, the how connection. Good.
Right.
So he says it's Havivah, mitzvah Havivahi ad me'od. You can't say it in more extreme terms than that. It's the most loved mitzvah by far. Ad me'od, right? Most loved mitzvah. So you have a couple of interesting questions here.
And specifically because
Because
we're
it's
expressing our love for our connection. That goes
expressing
further
our
too,
connection
and
to
our love
God.
for other people.
It's proclaiming the miracle, right? It's proclaiming the miracle. It's proclaiming the miracle to others, which is an expression of our love and responsibility to them, right? When I proclaim the miracle, like we said, I'm doing it to invest in people, to build people, right? And of course, it's an expression of my commitment to light, to knowledge. Let's build on that a little bit. Let's say they know a poor person doesn't have the money to light the candles, right? We said the kahal has an obligation to give him enough for how many candles a night?
One.
Beautiful. The Kahal has an obligation to give him enough money for one candle a night, which is the core mitzvah. All the other candles are a beautification of mitzvah. Right, good. Now, now, if the person doesn't have the money, and the Kahal can't give it to him, he has to sell his shirt.
Wow.
He has to give his shirt as a matmon, as collateral, to borrow the money, to get money to light the candle. Huh? The poor person has to go this far. It's remarkable. It's absolutely remarkable. I mean, you don't have this with too many other things in Judaism, where the poor person literally has to take the shirt off his back in order to light the candles. Who ever heard of such a thing?
Because lulav, you just
No.
pass on it, right?
Huh?
The lulav, you could just borrow somebody.
Yeah, you borrow,
Leave it
right?
back.
You don't borrow, you have them give it to you, right? And then give it back.
Are you asking him to invest in it as well? Is that why they do that?
Yeah.
Because now
And
you have
you're
to
showing
invest.
how beloved the mitzvah is,
Yeah,
that it's so
you
beloved
gotta sacrifice.
that a
too.
person has to sacrifice and even belittle himself a little bit for it. Yeah, this is the sacrifice. Good.
Uh-huh.
Now, let's say you have two people. Okay, let's say you have someone who has the money to buy the one candle a night, and his friend has nothing. His friend has nothing. There's a person who has the money to pay for one candle a night, have an obligation to give it to the person who has nothing. Should he give part of it to the person who has nothing? Right? Let's say a person has enough money to buy one candle each of the 8 nights, right?
So he's supposed to give from him, you're saying take away from himself to give to somebody else.
Should you take away from yourself? In other words, be able to fulfill 4 nights and let him fulfill 4 nights.
No,
They light together?
Not- Huh?
Can't
no,
they light together?
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Can't they just light together?
It can, but it's an obligation each person and his home, in his home.
Got it.
So can I not fulfill the obligation? I'm gonna do 4. Can I give him the money to do 4? Because I have a responsibility to other people, right? Can I give him the money to do 4? What do you say?
This sounds, it's similar to like your way of like saying
No.
back.
definitely not.
The boundary where you could always give, but there's a limit to stuff.
Excellent.
And I think
Beautiful.
This
Beautiful.
is aligned with the
Perfect.
limit strong.
This is where it stops. I don't put another person before myself to hurt myself, ever.
Well, you can't block yourself from doing the mitzvah.
My life comes first. My life comes first, right? As much as we love other people, we never, ever put anybody before
On the
ourselves.
airplane.
It's-
Put the
we
thing
never-
on you first.
That's
it.
right. That's the classic
Nice.
example, is the airplane, right? Put
Don't
your
take
mask
your
on.
mask off first. Yeah,
That's
right.
So the term in the halacha is that a person should not sin in order to help another.
That's right. Okay, that makes more sense. But you always have to self-sacrifice in order to help another. That's just the nature of it.
I say self-sacrifice
You have-
up until a point,
Right.
right? It's not a
You have to sell your
reckless
shirt off your back.
abandon and given to others, right?
You have to sell your shirt off your back for someone else.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Now, very good.
You
Now,
got another shirt?
what if he doesn't have another shirt?
That's the problem.
What's it? That's a fantastic question.
I don't think so.
I mean,
I'm not sure.
Is it your
Because
family or is
the
it a
line
stranger?
is,
The guy sells his own shirt first. Why should I sell my shirt?
he sold it.
Okay.
Got it. He sold it.
Is it family?
Without a
It's
shirt. You got the shirt.
It's a person, sure.
I don't.
It's not family.
I don't agree. If it's your family, it's a different story, I think.
Okay, but let's say it's not family.
I don't
I'm not
see
sure it's a
why
different story, but if it's not family. One thing, his shirt is already on loan for tomorrow's lunch that he hopes to make the money for, to pay the guy back, to get his shirt back. So he doesn't have another shirt by then, right? He doesn't have another shirt. So can Uven put his shirt in collateral or sell his shirt for Shimon? What do you say?
Yes.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
Now,
He
if
doesn't have any money. He's gonna be the one asking someone else to sell their shirt.
Okay, look, again,
But
Again,
make them money.
he's gonna make the money.
You
Okay,
work the
I
next
can't,
day.
I can't hurt myself for another. But can I inconvenience myself? Should I inconvenience myself?
Yes.
For sure. Beautiful point. For sure, I should inconvenience myself, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
For
I'm
sure.
just worried if, let's say now, so I'm lending a shirt to person A and then it's just gonna be like a ripple effect.
Okay,
And it's just gonna keep on going.
okay. So what would be
Also,
bad
for
about
you-
that?
For you, though.
It's
Listen,
gonna.
if me lending my
Okay.
shirt is gonna mean I lose my job, for example,
Oh.
then I can't do it. Right? If lending my shirt or lending my uniform or committing my uniform as collateral, right, means I can't show up for work the next day, then I
That's
can't.
different.
I can't do it. Again, your point, I can't hurt myself, right? We don't go that far. That's gone too far. But if me lending my shirt is an inconvenience for me, of course, why not? Why not? Okay. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Let's say a person has enough to either light a little bit each night or to light a full candle the first night. That is obvious answer, but I want to build the
30
point of
minutes.
why. 30 minutes. He has 30 minutes worth of oil. So he could divvy up the 30 minutes, like
Divide
4
by
minutes
8,
each, 3 3/4 minutes each worth of oil, and light a little bit every night,
And wait for the miracle of Hanukkah to happen.
and wait for the miracle of Hanukkah to happen to him. Or he lights it all the first night and he fulfills the mitzvah completely. What do you tell him? What do we tell him to do?
That's not light at all.
I'll light it all. Why?
That's not.
You have a definite mitzvah, and we have another important halachic concept, gentlemen. Anus lechamana patre. This is a very, very important halachic concept. Anus with an olive. Lechamana means Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Patre, he absolves it. So a person who
Oh. Are we frozen?
toward him, he exempts him from the obligation.
Because he can't do it.
He can't do it. If a person lent his shirt on the night, or he can't borrow money and then work. He can't do it, right? Is he a wrong doer because he didn't do it?
So we can say God will understand. We could say God will
I
understand.
want you to own the terms from yes, exactly. But I want you to own the terms from a halachic point of view. Anus, someone who the circumstances are beyond his control. The Hamana Hakadosh Baruch Hu Patre. You made it patur. You made him exempt. Okay. Now, when else do we use this clause? When else do we use this clause?
Aspects of a man's, a woman's life, people's lives, huh?
Yeah. Good. Right. Right. You don't have to risk your life for something, right? In terms of not risking your life inappropriately.
Well, just, if someone's hazid, something happened and you can't. So
Yeah, you can't. So give me a basic case. Good. Give me a basic case, guys. Give me a basic case. What do you say? Huh? Let's say someone is sick. Let's say someone is sick. Does he have to, he's sick and he can't pray mincha. He's in bed sick.
Well, that's pikuach nefesh. You can't.
No, it's not pikuach nefesh. Very good.
He
It's
can't
not.
get up. He can't
It's
get
not
up.
pikuach nefesh. If it's pikuach nefesh, you're right. If his life is at risk, you're
Not
right.
life is at risk, but he's just too ill to stand up. We can't
Right.
make
Well,
it.
I don't use-
Do it in his brain.
Okay, one second. The point is, thank you. The point is, if a person is sick, let's not go crazy. It's not, his life is not at risk, God forbid, or anything
Okay.
like that. Just sick
Right,
and he misses mincha.
right.
Now, no, if a person misses mincha, right, we do a double arbit, right? Not because I just didn't feel like praying and I didn't pray, but I was in the middle of meetings, right? If a person is in the middle of meetings,
Accident.
right? Yeah, it just happened. The meeting went long, this, that, whatever it might be. We don't go crazy. We don't go crazy. We have to live, right? Traffic. We have to live, right?
Unpredictable.
We do the best we can not to let that happen.
And we
right?
don't kill ourselves over it. That's what you're saying.
Right. But we also know we have an obligation to pray 3 times a day, and therefore we'll say the second Amidah in our bid, right? And we'll make the clause before we say it. Hakadosh Baruch Hu, please consider that tashlum, right? A payment, a makeup please consider it a makeup, right? We're supposed to say that before the second Amidah. But if it's not considered a makeup, please consider it Tefilat Nedava, which means what?
Donation.
Like a gift, because how many times can a person pray a day if he wants to? 100, right? If I want to pray X amount, if I want to be all day in prayers, I can be, right? So yeah, why not? Why
So
not?
this sounds like we should, it sounds like it serves us because we don't beat ourselves up over it, right? In that way.
It's halacha. It's the halacha. So
Right.
if a person doesn't feel good, the person is anus. He can't get up and pray. He doesn't feel
Right.
good. So we're not going to sketch it, and we're not going to exaggerate anything one way or the other. But the term anus rahamana patre, that a person who there are circumstances beyond his control, and therefore he couldn't do the mitzvah, is a very important, sensible understanding of halacha, right? We don't go crazy. We make every sincere effort, and this has to be absolutely sincere in every respect, right? That's the key. That person is being sincere. You're not going to say anus rahamana every whatever.
But
because
that guy that was sick does not have to do it.
he doesn't have to do a makeup, right? You want to do it, do it. But really, it's probably more nedava than it is echiyuv. Okay? Okay, so the same thing here. If a person has enough oil for only one night, and he could spread it all out, he doesn't spread it out. He lights the first night, and after that, he had nothing to do. He couldn't control it. Okay, let's do one or two other beautiful insights in terms of Hanukah that teach us a lot about halacha and who we are. On Pesach and Sukkot, when do we say that? When do we say Hallel with a beracha? The Yamim Tovim, right? Beginning and end. Beautiful. What do we do in the middle? We say the Hallel with
Sukkot we do every day.
What, honey?
Sukkot we do every day. Well,
Sukkot is every day. Right. Okay, good. Correct. Very good. Talk to me about Hanukah. What do we do with Hanukah? Every day with a beracha, right? Good. Why? Why?
Because every day was a nes, right? Every day was a miracle.
Every day was a miracle. We say that the nes was mitchadesh. The nes was started up again every day.
Right.
So this leads to a question of, well, what are you talking about? What miracle was started up again every day? Any ideas? Anything you've learned?
The basic one that we learned in kindergarten was that the fire at all, that we had oil, right, to begin with.
Now we had oil, okay, but any other
We were
ideas?
defeated in war.
I'm sorry?
That we were not defeated in war.
We had not succeeded in the war, or the
We
war,
We weren't
Huh?
defeated. We succeeded.
that's the fact that the war succeeded, right?
Did we succeed? I thought we did not succeed.
We did.
Did we
It was
succeed?
limited success. It was limited success. We absolutely do succeed. It was limited. To me, I don't have a great answer for this. I want to leave this as an open question. That the nes was mitchadesh every day. I haven't seen something great on that. The miracle was renewed every day, i.e., there was a new miracle every day. So I want to open the table to that. Look around.
There's a Kabbalah answer.
Okay, Chabad. We have a Kabbalah answer from the Chacham. Hit it.
Like you said, the Kabbalah is the Hod. Hod is thankfulness.
Speak up a little bit. One second.
Supposed to give thankfulness on this holiday. Supposed to be
Right.
thankful. It's Hod.
Yeah.
Is it grateful or thankful or both?
Hod is thankfulness, it's also empathy, worrying about the other person. So that was the problem that they had at the time, that they were not. They were all intermingled with the Greeks. So the reason the miracle happened, and because Shemini saw all this, is that we're supposed to be extra thankful and make sure everyone else is. So what's happening every day, lighting the candles, is you're a little out there, but that's what's happening, is the light is actually getting back all the sparks that are out there in the Tarabim, and bringing them in. And when you say Hallel, and when you look at the candles, you're actually doing that thankfulness every time, and you're making up for the unthankfulness of the Tarabim for everybody else.
So why the beracha?
So no, that's why you say Hallel every day.
And why am I saying with a beracha?
It's, what do you mean? You do it
Because-
every day you're doing it. He's doing it every day.
So,
That's what you
so
have
the
to do.
Chatzi Hallel doesn't get me there. It doesn't
No,
express the
it's
same.
not, it's not
Beautiful.
doing that full thankfulness that.
Beautiful.
Could I ask a question? Thankfulness for what?
What happened?
Thankful for not being unthankful, for not, the whole point of.
But
the- of the
specifically, what are
miracle,
we thankful for?
At the time of the war, they were all intermingling, so they were not.
So to be
They were
thankful
not
that we have
related
this
to each
today, fine, then we're not paying attention to it. That is a possible description of it.
You could say that, but the problem was that they were all thinking about themselves at the time, before the war. They were intermingling with all these.
I'm not thinking about other people. So really, it's about say that God.
It's about thinking about the others and realizing Hashem, all about Hashem, connecting back. And that's
So
what
it's
candles
on the
are
hold.
about.
It's on the hold.
Love
Love it. All right. We're all gonna be mini Mekubalim
Number eight.
by the
is
time
eight-
Elliot gets done with us. We're gonna be walking around with our heads in the altosphere, the mega, and we're gonna be in the metasphere. Good.
Hashem and Shemona, it's all eight. It's all eight. 8 days.
So if I said.
So we have to do a class on 8.
Yeah.
All right.
No,
He,
okay.
he started out with 3 classes. We're up to 9 or 10. Did you hear his class on Friday? It was fantastic. We recorded it. I'll send it to you. Okay. Why do we light the shamash, guys? Why do we light the shamash? By the way, 1 second. Do we light the candles with the shamash or not? Huh? Okay, but we don't light the candles themselves with the shamash. Beautiful. You have an extra candle to light the candles. Beauty.
That's the shamash, because if we benefit from the light, we could say that we don't benefit from the light of the actual candles, we could benefit from the light of the shamash.
Beautiful. And that's what
There
the
we
shamash
go.
should be. Perfect. Shamash should be a drop separated, right? Put above, yeah, perfect.
Because en lanu de shut le'ishtem eshbahem, right? We're not allowed to benefit from the candles.
We're not allowed to.
En lanu, what is it? It said, right?
The benefit from the.
Right. Right, that's why we have the shamash.
A rabbi that I met from Panama told me that there was a custom that came from Halab, that when the Sfaradim came from Spain, they got the Halab and they weren't accepted right away.
Right.
And finally, when they were accepted into the community, it was on Hanukah, and they took a custom to light an extra candle,
I think some people do that.
and it's still today.
We do that. A separate candle? Separate? I don't think you're gonna beat this. A separate candle. Where do you put it?
On the side.
It's like on the Shabbat.
But every night they light a separate candle.
It's on the whole.
Plus for them, that was their own for the student.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I gotta learn more about that.
That's what the rabbi told me.
I'd love to learn more about that. If any have something written about
Yeah,
it.
Joey Mosseri has a thing.
Ah, okay. So that'd be great.
Also, Rabbi from Patton Beach wrote a thing on it.
Okay, so we have a din that the women should not be doing certain types of avodah, certain types of work while the candles are burning. Which work? should they not-
Crocheting,
Housework.
you can't crochet.
Gotta be doing that all the time. Come on, what shouldn't they be?
Housework.
I quote me on that. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Housework.
What?
Housework.
No, I just said they should be doing that. Ah,
I can tell you.
Yeah, Noah,
You shouldn't be crocheting.
excellent. Why, honey? Excellent.
What do you think?
They shouldn't be sewing or crocheting. Excellent. Why? Why
Why is that?
specifically that?
I don't think you have
Oh,
to-
it's because they'll carried away in it and forget to light.
Say no,
I
go.
forgot. I can't remember the reason. I just remember it's crocheting.
Huh?
I can't remember the reason.
All right, work it. Think about it. Think about it. Come on.
Oh, it's because they're not gonna
Just said you
they're not
can't
gonna be
use
thinking about the
light.
miracle.
What, honey? No, we just said you can't use the light.
Ah.
All right, so for her to wash the dishes or make a pancake or whatever it might be, it's not that thing. But if I'm sewing,
Detail.
it's detailing, I need more of that light. So
So could
we,
you write if you're so fair, you probably
so,
can't write it?
no, you say not, say not. Very good. Okay, you have a class in the shul. Now we'll do some just odds and ends ones for a few more minutes. You have a class in the shul that starts right after our beat every day the whole year. Okay, that's your tadirut. That's your regular commitment. and you're learning Torah. Now, you have the chiyuv of lighting the mitzvot, Ner Ishu Beito, with a person Nisa, publicizing the miracle. Wow. I have learning Torah, I have tadirut, I have the consistency, right? Tadirut, consistency, overwhelmingly, generally comes first. On the other hand, I have the mitzvah of Nerot Hanukah, and coupled with that, or driving that, I have the mitzvah of publicizing the miracle. What do you want to do? Cancel the class? Don't cancel the class? What do we do?
Delay it, maybe.
Huh?
Delay,
Beauty.
that's-
When do we delay it? What do you say, guys?
Go home. light
Go
it,
home
come
half
back.
hour.
Okay, one second. Go home, light, and come back, right? Makes sense, right? But what if the guys may not come back?
Why
So
could
then-
let the woman light them? Why
So
can't they?
then you don't delay it.
Then you don't delay
But
it.
if you have the class at home, I heard,
Yeah,
you continue with your class. Like
Right.
if it-
okay, good, good. You continue with the
lighting?
class.
I thought in a circumstance like that, if, let's say a man's at work or some woman have that.
They can,
obligation, why-
but ideally you don't want to do that. So, right, they can. Like,
Chacham Obadi says the time
the
is
time is
more
compelling.
important
That's what he
than
holds.
everyone together, even though even the rabbi was shocked when he was reading it.
Yeah,
the
he does
woman-
say that.
The woman should light it.
Yeah, Hamad does say that. It does say that.
Follow
He
that?
does, well, he does, and absolutely does. We just have to think about it. We just have to think about, I'm just saying, we
I
have
had a
to,
problem.
we have to
I
just
had a
think,
problem.
I'll tell you what we have to think about. We have to think about it because we're building our families here. And we have to think of the context of it. I'm building my children. I'm building my children. I'm building my family. I'm building. So I have to weigh these things. You know, you have to weigh it. It's in the purest sense, no question that time is the trump, right? That's the most important. But there's a big but. I'm building my family. And if I'm gonna stand there alone at 5:30, what did I do? I didn't do anything. What was the point?
Right, there's no
That's it.
pisume because
No
today,
pisume,
let's
what
say a
we
guy
talking
lives
to?
in Deal today,
Right.
there's no one passing his house.
There's nobody
so the
passing his
pisume is for the
Right.
people inside.
You hear that, guys? If you live in Deal, there ain't nobody driving outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that, stick up for yourselves a minute, Deal gents. Let's hear from you.
No, not wrong, not wrong.
It's not wrong.
Not in denial.
In my
We actually, no, we publicize to our neighbors,
Huh?
Just our neighbors.
to the neighbors.
Call them out. Make sure they're
Does it
home.
count if we publicize to the deer population?
The deer population. I don't know. We gotta look it up.
We'll put them in a round, put some food out in front.
Yeah.
in
I'm
Miami,
not
there's
saying
one
that
thinking
they
that's-
publicize to the deer.
I have to jump off. I just want to say happy Hanukkah to everybody.
Okay, good things, Zeke.
Bye-bye. Happy holiday, everybody.
Hanukkah. Bye.
Okay, we're gonna go 2 more minutes.
By the Holland Tunnel.
I bought a 9-foot menorah.
Yeah,
And then
It's
Yeah,
funny,
beautiful. All right, so let's finish this point. Beautiful.
Wow, my wife had them put it back in the car and send me back to work.
No.
What's
I
that?
bought a 9-foot menorah. I thought, I don't know.
Great.
I found it online. I said, oh, it's $200. Said, this is the one. Each cup for the oil was this big. I built it. I went upstairs, unbuilt it and put it back in my car.
Smart girl. Smart girl.
Wow, that's great.
So in the case of, in the case,
Probably less.
in the case of the class, if the men are gonna come back, then we send them home and bring them back. If we think the men are not gonna come back, then we keep them there for the class and we light after. Let's do one last one, which is, I think is fun. Let's say you have a bowl with oil and a bunch of wicks. You have a bunch of wicks, right? Okay. And can you light all of the wicks? Can you light all of the, let's say you lit all of the wicks, right? On the first night or the second night. Did you fulfill the mitzvah?
As long as they have their own little things.
Beauty. But if in a beauty, excellent. But if it's in a bowl of oil and it's midurah,
Pulling.
no, it lasts 30
from the
minutes.
same
But-
source.
but you have a number of different wicks. You did not fulfill the mitzvah because it's considered midurah, a torch, and not a nair, and not a candle. Okay, if you put a cover over it and you had one stick out, then you have no problem, or two based on the night. But if it's multiples, then you didn't do anything. Right, 3 wicks rather than one. So on that night, we have to have a torch. This night, we can't have a torch. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So if a person holds by Chacham Ovadia and white lights at 4:30,
Right.
right? Then the man comes home at, let's say, 10 o'clock and everyone's still up. You light again. Do you light with,
No, but you don't want to get hot, definitely.
but the Ashkenazim, everyone lights their own.
I know, but we don't do that. We don't. Do we actually hold like the Tosafot,
Yes.
right? Who's
No, but I was
Ashkenaz.
wondering if there was,
No way to say anything about that. All right. Okay, so one last point. Yeah, I think, okay. I think this is something we know. If somebody lights before the time, with the intention of there was enough oil in there to burn through the time, and it blew out, you have to relight or no. You lit before, why not? Because
Potential for it to.
beautiful. So the key is that
Spoke of that last.
that the mitzvah is fulfilled with the hadlaka, not with the siyum, with the start, right? So as we know, if you light the nair in a place where there's wind, right? We talked about it. If you light it in a place where there's wind, right? You did not fulfill, the person did not fulfill the mitzvah. But if I lit it in a place where there's typically no wind, I put enough oil, regardless of how long it burns before the mitzvah. Okay, so let's wrap. So Hanukah is this remarkable opportunity to embrace the concept individually, and I really wish for everyone, especially everybody on this class, to embrace the concept of lev kol chacham lev natati chokmah. We've talked about it before. Zach, do we have this as one of? I think we do have this as one of our keys. Lev kol chacham lev natati chokmah, or maybe not. Maybe we didn't touch on. So Hakadosh Baruch Hu says, I've mentioned it before, but it's very important to mention it here. That in the context of the Mishkan, when Hakadosh Baruch Hu is calling on everyone through Moshe Rabbeinu to start building the Mishkan, right? We have to remember that the Jews in Egypt were slaves for 210 years. So there weren't people who were artisans. There weren't people who could weave beautiful fabrics that were needed for the Mishkan. There weren't people who were metal workers who knew how to work with metals and melt the metals and shape extraordinary things, that were craftsmen with wood and stone. There was no such thing. We were slaves for 210 years. Nobody knew how to do this. But what happens is people start to step up, right? And they start to learn. And the pasuk is repeated, the section of the pasuk in the heart of everyone who has chokhmah, wisdom in his heart, I will give wisdom. Belev kol chacham lev, in the heart of everyone who has wisdom in his heart, I will give wisdom. This is particularly impactful and zoned in the month of Kislev and the holiday of Hanukah, because we say that on Hanukah, a person's ability to reach intellectually is enhanced, is empowered, is enabled. So if we want to make a commitment to grow our intellect, to grow our knowledge of Torah, to break through to another level, we want to do it Hanukah time in the month of Kislev, because we know that the turbocharging that God says when he says, "B'lev kol chacham lev natati chokhmah," in the heart of everybody who has wisdom in his heart, I will give more wisdom, i.e., God says, I'm going to top off the wisdom that you worked hard to achieve myself without you having anything to do with it. And it's true. I'll tell you, it's true. There are certain times when I'm learning, I'm saying, I didn't get to that point. I got a kicker. I got a bonus. I got a help. I worked to get to this point, and all of a sudden, boom. You work to get to this point, all of a sudden, boom. because that's God's commitment. And God's commitment to enhance our ability to understand, to amass knowledge, to be more scrutinizing in our knowledge is absolutely in focus during the holiday of Hanukah more than any other time. So if you want to reach for something, a higher level of learning, you want to start a new level of learning, you want to make a commitment to something more complex, do it now. Cool. All right.
The light.
Thank you, guys.
Okay,
Great
so-
to see you. Giving everybody a giant Hanukkah hug over there on the other side of Staten Island. Have a great, Teddy. Have a great holiday. All right.
Thank you, Rabbi.
All right. God willing,
Okay,
see you.
guys.
Bye-bye.